everybody. It's Father Casey, the pastor of Epiphany of Our Lord Church, and I welcome you once again to our YouTube channel, The Fourth Magi. This week in the Gospel, Jesus says something that is very important to our spirituality as Christians, as Catholic Christians. Jesus says to his disciples, all you who labor and are burdened, I will give you rest. And the actual good translation is, I will give you rest for your souls. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Very, very important to understand what's being said there. First of all, let's take a moment and think about all the things that make us feel labored and burdened. Things in our lives that weigh us down. Financial issues, marital problems, family problems, struggles with drugs or alcohol, employment issues, just our relationship with God. Our sinfulness can weigh us down because of what we think about ourselves. But there are many, many things that burden us, that make us feel labored and burdened. And Jesus says, come to me, and I will give you rest for your souls. Because all of those things, and we can get hit with them almost at once at times. We are weighed down, and we almost droop as we walk, as we live our lives. And I will give you rest for your souls. And then he says, take my yoke upon you. Now, he's not talking about, I'm going to crack some eggs and I'm going to whip up an omelet for you. All right? When he says yoke, he's referring to a device that is put upon either one oxen or several oxen. And usually it's more than one, because in order to do the work that an oxen does, you really need at least two. But this contraption is placed on, it's wooden, and is placed on the shoulders of the oxen. And then it is connected to whatever device that they're pulling. Whether it is a carriage, whether it is a plow, whatever it is that they are going to be pulling, they have a yoke placed upon them. And you can see from the picture what the yoke looks like, and what it looks like on the oxen. Now, the yoke is important because it keeps the oxen focused on the job at hand. Right? But then Jesus says, take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy. Now, he's not talking about, the work of a Christian is easy, because it's anything but easy. But what it means in Scripture, in Hebrew, and in the Jewish understanding, is that a yoke that was easy, it fit well. You see, when you look at that picture of the yoke upon the oxen, if the yoke doesn't fit well, it starts to chafe the skin of the oxen, and it gets raw and irritated and starts to bleed. And then what does the oxen do? It doesn't want to do it, doesn't want to wear it anymore, and it basically says, get this off me, I'm done doing the work. But Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. But when you think about Christianity and the idea that we are called to love our neighbor, we are called to love our enemies, we are called to love those who don't love us, that is very difficult. That is very challenging. So how could Jesus say that my burden is light? Because the yoke that he speaks about is the yoke in which we wear one part of it and Jesus wears the other. That Jesus helps us to do the work he calls us to do. He doesn't just stand there like some taskmaster and say, I want you to do this, and then doesn't do anything to help us. No, Jesus actually is placing himself on the other side of the yoke. So the yoke is on us and on Jesus. He's helping us to do the work he has called us to do. To love others, to love one another, to love, which is really very, very hard. And so when we realize that, then we realize that we're not alone. So you know what? The work is easier when you realize you're not alone doing it. And it's even easier when you realize that not only are we not alone, but it's Jesus himself helping us. Who greater than the Son of God could there be to help us perform the task of love that he has called us to do? So, this week, let us do Jesus' work. And he'll help lift our burdens and help us to do the work he's called us to do. God bless you, and have a great week.